What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. Today we're going to be tying up a Squirmy Wormy variant. So I've been playing with Squirmy Wormies for the last couple of weeks here. I wanted to tie a fly that's a little bit heavier as well as a little bit more durable. I find that with just the regular Squirmy Wormies, we use the actual Squirmy Wormy to make the body. I find that they are a little bit more delicate, and with these bigger steelhead and salmon, they tend to rip it apart a lot easier. So this is kind of a Squirmy Wormy mixed with a glowworm. And the glowworm is tied by Bob Reese. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. His Instagram handle is Thin Air Angler, and I've kind of taken his pattern and the original Squirmy Wormy and kind of made this steelhead Squirmy Wormy per se. So the hook we have in the vise right now is a Raven Specialist hook, and this is what I tie my Squirmy Wormies on for steelhead. This is not for resident trout. I usually tie them on a smaller caddis or a nymph hook if I'm fishing for residents. But I like this because it has a nice big hook gap, and when you hook those fish, you have more of a chance of landing it and not popping out of its mouth. I have 2 beads on here, so it's going to get down pretty quick. I'm fishing some holes up to 8 feet deep, so I have 2 1/8 gold. These are just the brass ones. I don't tend to use tungsten on my steelhead flies because I lose so many. It's a lot cheaper to tie with these brass ones and put a couple split shots if you really need them, but I usually don't. The thread we're going to be using, UTC 70 denier. This is in a brown olive, and I'm going to start my thread right behind this eye and put down a little base here. You want to keep this relatively sparse since you are going to be bringing this this bead up. So I'm just going to make a couple wraps there and just dress my hook. Now we're going to grab our Squirmy Wormy material. This is a Fly Fiend Squirmy Wormy. Comes in all kinds of different colors, which is going to be available early next year. This color right here, I've been fishing with a lot, and I really like it, and it's olive green. I've been having a lot of luck with this and the orange color. So the easiest way I find to tie these in is you want to put it pretty much right behind the back of this eye. You want some pretty good loose slack in your line, in your thread, and you're just going to make a couple very light pinch wraps here. I'd say about 4 or 5, and you don't want that rolling off the top. So once I put a couple in, I'm actually going to pull this back part over, and I'm just going to make some moderate pressure wraps. And you don't want any of that Squirmy Wormy coming up through because you are putting this bead over, and you just want it to be pretty much perfect. So I'm just going to pull this really tight, cut that out, kind of just clean this up a bit right here. Doesn't really matter if you have any there, it's mostly near the front where you don't want any, because it's going to be hard to pull that bead up over. So I'm just going to make a little whip finish here, just like so. Cut out my thread. Now I can grab my bead, kind of push it up over. Sometimes it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get up, but that's okay. And you might be left with a little thread showing right there, but that's alright. You're gonna get that just because you tied in so loose right there, because you don't want to rip through this material, because it is pretty delicate, but it is pretty strong. Like you can't just be wrenching on it with GSP. That's why I'm using the 70D. So I'm just gonna tie my thread back in. I'm just gonna make a little thread base there. Now I'm just going to grab that other side of the Squirmy Wormy, and I'm going to tie this in right at the back of that bead. I'm gonna leave a little bit of room just so I can cover up the wraps after. So same thing, just gonna put a little pinch wrap in here. And it doesn't really matter with this one. You can put some good tension on it because your thread wraps are gonna be looser towards the back. So I'm just gonna tie this in relatively tight per se. Just gonna lift this up, cut that out. Same thing, so you don't want it rolling over, so you can kind of just put a little bit of pressure on the actual worm. And when you're pulling down your thread, don't pull straight down. That's going to put a lot of pressure on this material and actually cut through it. I like to put my finger up and kind of just pinch it, then pull some down, and it works out really well. It hasn't broken off on me. So I just kind of pinch it like that, just to keep the pressure off the thread on the shank. So I'm just going to take this down to where my little thread dam ended. Now I'm just going to try to clean up this up here as much as possible. Just like so. So that's pretty clean right there. And for the body, I'm just going to be using some FlexFloss. This is just in olive color. We're going to be tying that in right behind the eye, or behind the back of the bead as well. I'm just going to pull. And again, when you get closer to this, to the end here, you don't want to put too much pressure on that because it will pull through there and break off your Squirmy Wormy. So I'm just going to cut that out. Grab this little FlexFloss. Make some nice touching wraps up this body. And this is going to give a little bit of segmentation as well. Try to cover up as much as those bodies that coming through as possible. And I'm just going to tie this off nice and tight. Now you can pull really tight on this FlexFloss, and when you cut it, it's just going to suck right back in, and you're not going to have any tag. You can come in and just throw a nice wet finish in here. Just like so. And you're pretty much good to fish. So I really like this pattern. It's actually really durable. I haven't had a fish bite through this yet. You can put head cement or some sort of Loon Outdoors UV fly finish on there, but it does seep down into the body part and it will kind of eat away at this material. If you've tied with this material before, then you know that like head cement or anything like that does eat away at the rubber. So I just leave it like that, and it works really well for me. I haven't had any fish bite through it. I think it looks really cool. I like the contrast with the beads and the body. You can even tie this with wire. You can even do a wire body if you like. I've done that a couple times, but it's just faster to do the FlexFloss. So if you want to get a bunch out, just do the FlexFloss, or you can even leave it a thread body. So tie a couple up, try them out, let me know how you do. If you like today's video, guys, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about the materials or anything like that, just drop that down in the comment section below. If you want to see the full list of materials I used on this fly, you can check that in the description. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.